So Drew, Joyce, and Logan all sat around at Jennifer's condo, absolutely worried sick, and they called the police to explain everything. They wanted to file a missing persons report and get some help trying to locate her. However, something was off because an officer came out to the condo to talk to the family in person, and that's when things started to go south. See, Jennifer's dad, Drew, described what happened next like this. Quote, "We went up to the condo and they sent an officer out. Officer came in, looked around for about 30 seconds, and then said, 'She probably had a fight with her boyfriend. She'll be back.' And then the officer walked out." So right away, her disappearance, it wasn't really being treated as a disappearance. There was no sense of urgency at all. And I don't know if it was the fact that she was an adult or the fact that her condo didn't really look like a suspicious crime had taken place there or what, or that it didn't seem like there was things, thrown about or broken, or if this was just negligence. I really don't know. But at the time, it wasn't required by law for missing adults to be looked into right away. The police still could if they deemed that the situation was worthy, but it wasn't required. So I would imagine that they probably just didn't want to go above and beyond for something that they didn't have to, for something where they thought that she wasn't really missing, nothing nefarious. She probably just had a fight with her boyfriend. And regardless, this was frustrating because to the family, it seemed like the police had already jumped to conclusions. They didn't know Jennifer's story. They didn't know her background or who she was as a person, which all really comes into play anytime somebody goes missing, right? You look at the patterns, the behavior, the history. And Jennifer didn't have any history indicating that she would just take off and ghost everybody. Yet they still kind of stereotyped her as a girl who would just be willing to go missing over a normal relationship conversation. And we hear these things time and time again, right? Whether it's a situation like this, or maybe a teenager who is automatically assumed to be a runaway. And I will say, it never gets any less frustrating. Her family knew that the police's theory was complete bullshit. Her suitcase was still lying on the ground. It was half unpacked from where she left it after coming home from that romantic getaway. It looked like she got ready for work. Like, this was not somebody who's packing stuff up and taking off for a few days to cool off. If Jennifer truly needed space from everyone, some time to think and time to be alone, wouldn't she have just repacked a bag of clothes and her toiletries and her makeup? Surely that wouldn't all be left behind, right? And I get where some of you may be thinking like, okay, Annie, like slow your roll. She could have just left with the clothes on her back and just needed some space, which yes, that could be true. But it also wasn't like she was fleeing her condo trying to get away from an abusive partner and could only leave with the clothing on her back. She had time. The shower was still wet. She had just taken a shower. The blow dryer was out. She could have put together some clothing or at the very least brought a toothbrush with her, right? It just did not make sense. Then, finally, after 2 long days, the police finally started to come around. Not because they had a change of heart, but because they were presented with more information that kind of made them stop and think like, maybe Jennifer's family is right after all. Maybe they actually know their daughter better than we do. Maybe there is more to this. And specifically what got them changing their tune is someone had found an abandoned black Chevy Malibu.